Hello, and welcome to episode 257. Today, we will be going over the appointment of Fabian Hurzeler, featuring Uwe Hünemeier. Hünemeier will be on in about 15 minutes, as I hope will some of my co-hosts. But for now, it's just me, and we're going to kick off with a bit of a bio on Fabian before Juve joins and before we kind of get underway with his experiences facing off against him at St. Pauli and Paderborn. So let's get started with a little bit of bio and background on Mr. Fabian Hurzeler. So I'm sure you've all seen it all over Twitter and social media in general. Fabian Hurzeler, born in Houston, Texas, to a Swiss father and a German mother while they were working in the United States. His family moved back to Germany when he was 2 years old, where he grew up in the Munich borough of Borgenhausen. We've got Adam on the line as well. Hello, Adam. How are we?
Almost suicidal after watching that game.
Yeah, I don't blame you. We're just going through a little bit of a bio of Fabian Hurzeler's life before becoming Brighton boss, because he's had a bit of a wild ride. Just talked about his fact that he was born in Houston, Texas, to a German mother, Swiss father. He holds German, Swiss, and American citizenships. He can basically go wherever he wants, really, with those passports, can't he? And I've seen a few people online get a bit aggy about the Americans being so excited to have him as an American. So just to push back a little bit, he's actually came out and said, quote, "I think I will always be connected to the United States. In the end, it's the land I was born in. I tried to work hard to reach my dream, and I think that is one point that will always stay connected to me in the USA." So anyone who gets too aggy at you, stateside Seagulls, claiming him as one of your own, it sounds like he's perfectly happy to. He loves the States. I watched a couple of interviews with him earlier. He goes over there every summer, like he loves it. So you should be very much. You should own him as much as the Germans do, I'm sure, because they absolutely love him as well. Adam, what do you think the age is going to be like here? Because that was really what I was about to move on to next. He kind of quit his football career at 23 and went straight into coaching. How do you see his ability to gain respect from Lewis Dunk, James Milner, Gross, Welbeck, Steele? 31 in February, just gone. He has noted that he has never had issues with his age in the past and brings with him a friendly authority. What do you think is going to happen when he comes in? Do you think that even at a club like Brighton there may be a risk here of a respect issue, or do you think that we're not one of those big clubs with the toxic problems behind the scenes and we'll be all right? Where do you stand on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's weird. It is weird. Let's be frank about it. It's weird to have a 31-year-old as manager of the team, just because we're not used to someone of that age being able to be a leader, be wise enough and experienced enough to really sort of make their mark and lead a team like this. Having said that, the age is semi-irrelevant if you've proven yourself already, and he already has a body of work that's impressive. It's less about the age for me and more about, will his success and what he's done translate to the Premier League? But that's a question mark for a lot of managers that you bring in. There's always that question mark if they've not coached it before. I think you can look at managers like Julian Nagelsmann, 36 years old, was doing the Bayern job a couple of years ago, right? Now is leading the German national team. I think Muller is older than him. I'd be shocked if he isn't. So, and Germany so far are looking absolutely competent, probably better organized and, more well drilled than they have done in the past. So I'm less worried about the age thing. It's going to be about, is he able to lead? Is he able to demonstrate that he has that level of credibility? And you know, I don't have too many concerns about that.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I also think that our standing as a club helps as well. I think if he was going to a Chelsea, we saw it with Potter himself, right? It's a struggle for a lot of managers. In terms of his playing career, it was really Bayern Munich's youth academy, all the way from the age of 11. Represented Germany at several youth levels as well. Just never really able to take off. So yeah, he got into coaching pretty quickly after that. In 2016, he was predicted to be a great coach and will have an illustrious career by former teammate Emre Can, of all players.
He just scored, didn't he, in the opening game?
Yeah, I think he did.
Yeah.
He's now since been assistant manager in charge of Germany under-20s and under-18s. He had a little bit of time at Pippins Reed, probably ruined that name, but here we are. Before coming on to his first real managerial job at St. Pauli. He was brought on to work alongside Timo Schultz. For those of you who don't know St. Pauli, where have you been living? Like under a rock? Like they're one of the most famous kind of like hipster clubs on the planet. If you don't know anything about St. Pauli, I would recommend looking them up. They're a very just exciting, unique football team with a very unique and cool fandom. So recommend looking them up and going through their history. If you don't know who St. Pauli are, but it was a risky, bold managerial appointment to then keep him on when they got rid of Timo Schultz during the Qatar World Cup. And on the 23rd of December, he was officially appointed as manager following that sacking at just 29 years of age. He then turned that team's fortunes from 15th in the 18-team league and took them on a 10-win-in-a-row streak by April 2023. That broke the previous Bundesliga second division record held by a certain Jurgen Klopp. Not a bad record, is it, to come in halfway through a season and turn them around from 15th to just outside the playoffs and a 10-game win streak. There's worse ways to make your managerial career debut, isn't there?
I mean, it's one of these things where I think there's a number of things that occurred that shouldn't have occurred in this man's career. And as you say, the fact that he was even put in the position at that age, because he was how old? 29 when he got the job? Is that right?
He was 28 when he was appointed assistant to Timo Schultz at St. Pauli, and obviously he didn't last much longer. Schultz, he only lasted half a season. So yeah, he was 29 when he was appointed officially.
That's absolutely nuts, isn't it? Like, it's nuts that that's occurred. And then, as you say, he's gone on, essentially completely overhauled their style of play within moments, and then taking them on that streak. And obviously we sort of know how that's ended up. I'm excited to sort of dig into some of the tactics aspects as well, and understand a little bit deeper. I think there's no easy task to come into a club with no experience, minimum amount of credibility, and then just completely change their fortunes around and put them into the Bundesliga. This is why I think when we talked about this when we were looking at the hiring process, how the club was very much focused on going after managers that were more younger and more innovative, right? Kieran McKenna's 38 years old. A bunch of the other guys that we're looking at, all younger guys that have impressed with a certain style of football. And he's one of them. And I think if you get rid of De Zerbi, you still want to have that aspect of attractive possession style football, front foot forward, with a young mind that isn't set in their ways of playing in a certain style that historically worked and no longer doesn't. And maybe wears a waistcoat.
Yeah, and like you said, like that division is not an easy one. Like we've got Hertha Berlin in there, you got Schalke, Hamburger, Dusseldorf, Kaiserslautern. Like these are names that, like, over the last 20 years, like have been relevant on European stages. Like we understand that some of them have just gone through a little bit of bad fortune. Some of them have gone through an incredible amount of bad fortune, Schalke in particular. But like these are not bad teams. Like these are very strong infrastructures, a lot more money than teams like St. Pauli. And They won the league. 69 points, 20 wins, 9 losses, and 9 draws and 5 defeats. Like that's just absolutely mental. But before Uwe gets on here in about 5 minutes, let's hit a little bit on those tactics. Because it appears that more than anything, the key thing here is formation, right? And
yeah, we're going to go back. If you didn't like 3 at the back, you're going to get it.
The De Zerbi 4-2-3-1 looks like it's going to be gone. And we may well be going back to a 3 at the back. It appears that the back 3 is the favoured formation, 3-4-3, with it becoming a 5-2-3 when he goes into a defensive standpoint. They're happy to sit with 5 on the back line. When they move into attack, some of the stuff I've seen, like of him, like some of the highlights and stuff, like you've got 7-8 players like throwing themselves forward. So it's going to be very interesting to see how that adapts to the Premier League. But I think one of the key things here is, for me, more than anything, is that they initiate a counter press, just like De Zerbi, just like Potter did. But once that initial press fails, and for those FIFA players, it's the 6-second press, right? Like once it's done and it fails, they actually move back into a defensive back 5 with 2 midfielders in front of them. Big change from the De Zerbi era, isn't it? Do you think that midfield duo in particular, like surely that we probably need an enforcer more than ever if that's going to be the way we play, isn't it?
Yeah, I am excited though. I know we've made our opinions clear on the 3 at the back under De Zerbi, and there's the lack of success we had with that. But there was reasons behind that we talked about at the time, which was with the injuries and the personnel that we had available, it made sense. I maintain that, and if he's had success with that formation, I would like to see that here, because I actually think it works in our best interest, because we know that Igor plays best as a left-sided centre back. That allows us to then play Igor, Duncan, and Van Hecke together, which is great. Estupinian's a superb left wing back. Right wing back, you've got your options, right? Because you can play Hinshelwood there, but you can also play Solly March there if you want to then free up the right wing space to bring in one of the other players. So yeah, you've got great setups all around the pitch, but yeah, we go back to the central midfield problem. It's going to be a challenge. It's Billy Gilmore plus someone else. And we don't have the someone else unless Carlos Baleba has made a lot of progress over the summer.
Yeah, and obviously we're not going to know that until we see it, because we haven't got a European or a Copa competition to watch him in. Henrik Rydstrom was another name that was rumored to be part of the lineup that we were going for, and there was a really famous piece of chaos ball that he particularly plays. Well, looking at the style, and I don't know how much of him you've watched at St. Pauli, and obviously we only have 18 months worth of football, right? Like, so we've not got these years of football at Sassuolo, this year and a half of football at Shakhtar that we've been able to watch for De Zerbi. It's such a smaller, bite-sized piece of information, but it's not far off chaos ball when they start playing on the possession ball at St. Pauli. Like when a player moves into space, the next one feels it, but they're quite happy to just wander out of position. So like centre backs are quite happily taking wing back spots. Wing backs are happily taking centre midfield. Centre midfield are moving forward. Strikers are dropping back into centre midfield. Like it's the fluidity of it feels like just incredible. Like I don't know how it's going to translate. But like, what do you think about some of the stuff that you've seen from him from a possession and attacking based piece? Because it seems pretty chaotic to me.
Yeah, but we're used to some of that chaos already, right? I think it's going to be so easy for us to draw parallels with Roberto De Zerbi, because, you know, as Steven said in the chat, personality wise, there's aspects of that too. Like we'll probably go on to talk about how fiery a character he is on the sidelines, the yellow cards that he picked up over the course of, you know, the season. So he's got that aspect to him as well, and you see that in the play. The team under Potter did a lot of interchange between positions, and we saw players playing random spots, right? We are used to that. We had some of that to an extent with De Zerbi, but I don't think it was preference based. But I'm reading an article here from Analytics FC And I like the sort of sentence here, which is the base formation is a 3-4-3 that almost never materializes on the pitch. Which is, it kind of sums it up really. It's like, yeah, guys, you're going to play this, but basically you're just going to do what you want, and we're going to build out from the back, and you're going to go where you need to go. What's going to be really intriguing as to how well the players can gel and adapt to that style, because that's not totally akin to the De Zerbi style of football. De Zerbi had those sets of plays, right, that came out each time, which was when you win the ball here, you're going to ping pong the ball out and we're going to go up the pitch. This is a little bit different. The players are going to have to know that maybe someone has moved into another position than where they were before. We've got a lot more free roaming players within the side. So that weird fluidity within the structure is going to be potentially tough for some players.
Yeah, it's going to be odd, especially those who came in under De Zerbi's tenure. Like, on the other hand, you'd argue that for some of these players that have been there for years now, like it almost feels like on paper the perfect hybrid for them.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're going to be ready made for this. They've had the fluidity and the flexibility of Graham Potter, and then they've spent almost 2 years learning this regimented ethos that De Zerbi has hammered into them over the last 18 plus months, right? So you've got that kind of knowledge in the back foot of how to think about how to play the football. And Dunk has come out and said that, like, he looks at football different than he ever did before. You would think for some of these players that this, on paper, we don't know, he could end up being an absolute flop, and like by Christmas we're like, well, that was another disaster of the hippier mold. We don't know. But on paper, we're looking at this and you're thinking, like, arguably, like, he's got everything we would want, hasn't he? Flexible, ability to defend, like desire to defend, a regimented team structure when defending, and yet when attacking, he's got some genuine hunger and desire in his players to score goals. They love a long shot. They're not afraid of shooting from distance. They're not afraid of direct balls. I mean, one thing that stood out the most to me, and I'm sure you were probably going to bring it up at some point as well, but one of the things he talked about in between the first season he was in charge and the second season where they ended up getting promoted was that he was going to focus heavily on set pieces for 23-24.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can't ask for much more than that from a coach, can you?
No, and God, how long have we been dying for that? I do think, based on what you said before, when we're talking about players adapting and this being sort of a combination between what we saw under De Zerbi and what we've seen under Potter, like, we're going to see a ton of that. And the fact that he was able to do that quickly with the team, and he just came in and they started winning, this team should be able to do that. And we've seen players like Mitoma play left wing back for Japan, or even left back. We talked about Solly March. We talked about some of the other players can pretty much play anywhere. I don't think Bloom, and Barber and co were guessing with this hire, right? Like, it's very clear that Kieran McKenna was the number one choice, but similar type of mold. They didn't just go out and say, oh, who's available. This is by design.
Yeah, and we're very privileged to have on a man who's stood in the opposition dugout twice last season against St. Pauli and Hurzeler. Uwe Hünemeier, everybody. How are you?
I'm fine. Thanks for having me. Good to see you guys again. Long time no see, but here we are again.
When was it? I feel like it's been a year and a half, maybe more, 2 years.
Time flies. I can't remember.
Because you were playing when we spoke with you last.
Yeah, but I retired 1 year ago, so it's not that long ago that I was still playing. So maybe 1.5 years, 2 years back. I don't know really. So, but now we're in a different role. But I'll be back on your show.
Love it. Love having you on. First of all, let's talk a little bit about you. Like, how's retirement treating you? Assistant manager at Paderborn now. How is everything going there? How are you enjoying it now that you've hung up your boots? How was the transition?
Well, I'm just ahead of my second season as an assistant coach. If I look back on my first season, I'm pretty happy how it went, and I'm really proud how I was adapting to the new role, and I didn't have that much time to get into that new job because there was just a summer break in between after my retirement and that new role. But they gave me a role, and I had to adapt really quickly. My job is pretty much to set up all this set pieces offensively and defensively, which was pretty much a big strength in my career. Defending set pieces and scoring maybe goals on an offensive part. So I'm pretty happy with how the season has going, and yeah, I'm looking forward to the next season. And yeah, I'm feeling fresh now. The batteries are recharged, and we can go again. And next to my job, I was still playing a little bit non-league football at my home club, which is like, let's say, 10th league in Germany. And whenever I had the time to play some football, I did that, and we were pretty successful and got another promotion from, let's say, 11th league to the 10th league. And I scored 33 goals. And most of the time I played center half. But in the last two games, we needed some goals to get ahead of our opponent, and I was a striker. And I scored 12 goals in the last two games, so we were pretty successful. And I really enjoyed it next to my job in Paderborn because I can't still stop playing football. It's my nature. It's in me. I still have the desire to play some football, even on another level. But yeah, it was a great choice to play some football in my home club.
I like the idea that there's just these lads that show up to play, amateur football. They're just kind of thinking about going to the pub afterwards and what they're going to do, and then you show up and just score 12 goals. Those poor guys.
Yeah, I mean, most of the time it was pretty easy with the opponents. They were pretty happy to see me to play against me because they know maybe he was a professional footballer.
Yeah.
And they love to see me. There were only, I would say, 2 or 3 games where it was pretty tough for me when I played striker once, and I got a lot of kicks into my ribs and my calves because they were just too slow sometimes. Even me, I'm not the quickest one, but they were just too slow in their head sometimes, and they kicked me pretty hard. But we had a lot of games during that time, and I had to take some painkillers during that time because I couldn't let my boys down because we were fighting for promotion. So it was still in me to play every game when I can, and in the end it worked out, and we got the promotion. And it doesn't matter really where you get a promotion; it's the same fun and same party. Even it's non-league football. It's the same joy, and yeah, it was just fun for me to play some football, and I carry on next season in my home club whenever I can. They know I'm only turning up maybe most of the time for the games. Training is not that easy because I still have my boy. He's playing basketball, and you have to drive him to training, and it's more important for me to drive him to training than maybe train in non-league football because they know I'm still capable of playing some good football. So yeah, I keep my body in shape, and yeah, it's still fun for me to play football.
You just could ignore the training, just show up, smash in 6 goals, and be like, all right, lads, catch you later. Love it.
See you next week.
and have some beers afterwards.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
That's the best part of non-league football.
So moving back to your Paderborn role and the Fabian Hurzeler, of course. Obviously, De Zerbi left. Was announced that he was leaving just before the end of the season, and a managerial search goes underway at Brighton. I know you probably still keep tabs on the club like you have done for a while. And of all the names to pop up to be appointed manager last week was Fabian Hurzeler. What were your initial thoughts when you first heard that he was coming to Brighton?
Well, I know already for a long time that he was a big fan of De Zerbi football. So he was trying to implement that to St. Pauli, and with some different patterns, I would say. But he was the guy who was trying to play some football like De Zerbi, and I know he's been in touch with Pascal already since a long time. So they've been in touch, and already during last season. So because I've spoken to Pascal's dad when I was in Amsterdam during that Europa League game, and he told me that he's calling him all the time without knowing that he might be a future coach of Brighton.
That's interesting. So back then, wow.
Yeah, okay. he was just a big fan of that kind of football. So and so he was pretty much trying to play the same style with some different patterns, I would say, especially like a defensive style. He's got a different defensive setup than De Zerbi has, because De Zerbi was playing like one-on-one on the whole pitch, which is, I mean, it can work, but it's not the smartest way to defend, I would say, because I wouldn't do that. No. Most of the coaches would do that, and it's pretty intense for the whole team. You can do that in a different style, and Hurzeler will do that in Brighton. So he will defend differently to De Zerbi, but in possession he's got like a lot of patterns, like in the same way as De Zerbi did, like forcing the opponent to press and trying to play them out through certain principles. So I'm quite curious to see how it's going to work out in Brighton. But in general, it makes sense for me that they were looking after him, because you've got a certain kind of players in the squad, and they've been they know the football from last season, like the Zerbi football, and now they've got that in their bodies and their mind, and they don't need to change a lot in possession. But I think it was a good choice of Brighton to take him, even though he's still a young coach, and but he was pretty successful in St. Pauli. And from my point of view, for us it was the most difficult game to prepare in the last season, especially for my coach, because he knows how good he was tactical, and we were trying to find a way to defend them, and it worked out quite well for us, especially in our first game. But in the second game we lost to them because we didn't have our best day. But it was the biggest challenge for us in both games to prepare that game against St. Pauli.
How do you prepare? How do you do that? What are you looking for? What are you telling the players to do differently with the way his team worked?
Yeah, normally it's the work of my boss. He's doing all the work to prepare our team with the ball and against the ball. It's not my job. Of course, I'm looking some kind of games, but I haven't done that much work in kind of analyzing an opponent, because I'm just in my starting my second year now. I haven't done any batches so far. I'm just starting in August, so I can't tell you how he's going to analyze the opponent, but I know just that my coach is a really good coach as well, and he's the best in analyzing the opponent. And I would say we were pretty much one of the first teams to hold on St. Pauli, especially in the first game, because we realized that we are not allowed to press them, because as soon as we press them, they're going to play through our lines, and you have to tell your strikers just work from the holding midfielders and leave the center halves on the ball. And I remember when we playing St. Pauli at home, it was in the first half of the season. As soon as the game started, their center half was on the ball, and he was just standing on the ball. As you remember, maybe Lewis Dang, Levi Kove,
Yep.
they were just standing on the ball, and we're waiting for the opponent. And exactly the same happened with the St. Pauli defender. He was just standing on a ball and was waiting for the press, but we didn't press them. So as soon as it happens, it was difficult for them to get through their principles, to their patterns. Like as soon as the opponent press, they know exactly what they have to do. Every player is in a perfect position to play through the lines. We didn't do that. So in the first half, we controlled them. They just had one chance, I remember, and I think we were leading 1-0. But the second half, they changed the tactics, and that's Hurzeler as well. He's got a different setup in.
That's interesting.
With their players, and second half, I would say for the first 15-20 minutes, they pressed us and they were controlling us so hard. So we were, I think we were losing 2-1 at that time, and we got the equalizer quite late. But he's got a different plan in his pockets, so he's not like holding on his plan, because he's such a smart guy and he's got different like game plans in his pocket to react on the opponent's behavior.
From a set piece perspective as well, we were just talking about it before you came on. He noted that it would be one of his main focuses last year was to score more from set pieces and concede less. Something that Brighton really struggled with last year, and obviously you've been doing a lot of work in that specific area over the last 12 months or so with Paderborn. What do you think? What do you think he would be looking for there? How was that for you, like as a coaching set piece coaching team, to prepare for those sort of things against a manager like that?
I think St. Pauli was one of the best teams in set pieces, offensively and defensively. I think they scored quite a lot of goals. It was close to 20 or more than 15, and just conceded 4, 5. So they had a really good record in that kind of area, and it was really difficult to prepare our team even with set pieces, because they always have like some different set pieces in hand, and they prepare for that before every game. As we do that, you're trying to surprise the opponent, so you never know what's going to happen in the next games. You're just looking after the last games and trying to see what are their patterns, what are they going to do. But every opponent or every different match, you're trying to create something new, and they've done that against us. They scored against us in the first game of the season with a pretty smart set piece, and we weren't prepared for that because we didn't know it. And they've done a lot of different set pieces every game, and they surprise the opponent time by time. And that's why they've got such a good record, even in defending set pieces. I think in the second game, both teams, I've learned a lot of about set pieces in the first half of the season. We had like a bad record, I would say, like conceded 6 and scored 4. In the second half, we turned it pretty much around. In the end, I think we were like 12. We scored 12 and conceded 8, so we had a really good record in the second season, because for me it was my first year, so I've learned a lot during that time. And so in the second game of the season, we equalized ourselves. It was like, even when an opponent had a set piece, nothing happened really, because we surprised them, and so it was like an even game. But you can be sure that he's going to bring a new quality in that kind of area to Brighton. And I don't know who's going to do that in his coaching staff, or if he's doing it by himself, or he's got an assistant coach who's going to prepare the team. But
he's going to give you a call, surely. It's going to give you a call soon.
Yeah, but I'm pretty happy in Paderborn because it's just my first season. I'm just starting to do my budget, and I don't know him personally. So, but I'm looking forward to see how it's going to work out, even in that kind of area, because it's now my job looking after set pieces, and I want to get better in the next season, and want to learn from different teams. And I have to say, St. Pauli was a team I was looking after to see how they're going to do that in set pieces, offensively and defensively. In a defensive way of style, they're going to defend pretty much the same as we do, just defend like zonal marking, so not like man marking. and it worked out really well for them. Just conceding, I think 4, and we conceded 8 during the whole season. So we had both like pretty much the best record in the league, but offensively they were much better than us, because I have to admit that we haven't had a lot of like strong heading players, especially in the first half of the season. And St. Pauli, they were doing that from the beginning of the season really good, and that's why they've got such a good record in that kind of area.
There's been a lot of discussion over here in England since the appointment about his age. Obviously, only 31 years old. As a professional footballer that's played in the Premier League, that's played for Brighton, how do you think that will go? Do you foresee any issue if you were playing football and your manager was 31 years old and you were Lewis Dunk's age or Pascal's age? Like, is there a respect issue there? Like, does anything change? Like, there's a lot of people saying that it could be a real issue, but me and Adam have talked about it, and we don't think that will be the case. But we've never played professional football in our lives, so it'd be interesting to hear from you.
No, I don't see any issue, because if you just compare it to Julian Nagelsmann, he was even much younger than him, and look at the way he has done so far. He's now the German international coach, so I don't see any issue. The most important thing for a coach is just, or for the players, is to see that he's doing well, wherever he has done that before, and he's done a great job in St. Pauli. Of course, it was just his first or second year in charge there, so his pedigree is not that big, I would say, but I think as soon as players talk to him and see how he's going to work, you've got the respect, because it's your boss, and it's your job to do what he wants to do, and what he asks of the players. So I don't see any issues. I was just 4 years younger than my current coach when I was still playing, and I don't see any issue in that kind of area, because age is just a number, even if you're just really young as a coach. And on the other hand, if you're an old player, you're still playing as I was playing, it's about the quality. Even if a 37-year-old player is still playing, it's about the quality he's going to bring to the team, and not the age. So I think there's too much talk about the age of a coach. So he's going to bring a few new things to Brighton, and I think he wants to prove himself, and he has done that in the past. So I don't see any problems with the players and the respect of the players to the coach.
And he doesn't have that persona that feels like the players could sort of walk over him. Josh and I talked before you joined a little bit about this, and I think we saw, a personality like Graham Potter goes to Chelsea, and some of those players maybe at Chelsea think they're bigger than the club and bigger than the manager that comes in, and suddenly that respect is lost. Hurzeler does not seem like that. Despite being 31, he seems a very outspoken character. Seems like someone that is going to demand respect, regardless of the fact that he's younger than a number of the players in the team.
Yeah, but do you think you can compare Chelsea squad to a Brighton squad? I don't see.
No, exactly.
Players, so because Chelsea's got a lot of internationals, they've proven over years that they are big players. I mean, Thiago Silva was there. I can imagine that it was really difficult for Graham Potter that time to get all the players in behind him if they don't trust his style of play. But I don't see the problem in Brighton. If, for example, Lewis Dunk is pretty much the biggest player Brighton has right now as an England international, from what I have known right now, and I can't see him not respecting the new coach, because I know him. I know Lewis, how he is, and his work attitude. So you can't compare a Chelsea squad to a Brighton squad from my perspective. So I don't see the problem coming to Brighton. So, but it can happen, as you have just said, as it happened in Chelsea to Potter. But so of course the players can be strong as a squad. If you have a few players they don't trust the coach, they can be stronger than the coach, and you're going to be weak and going to be out pretty soon. But I can't see that happen in Brighton with Hurzeler.
Yeah, us neither, honestly.
Yeah. Hopefully it's going to work out for him. Yeah.
Yeah. We won't keep you too much longer. I know we've got Italy-Spain kicking off in a minute as well. I'm sure you want to tune in.
Hopefully it's just as exciting as the England game. I was thinking when you were describing Hurzeler's tactics, like this idea that, you don't want to press on the team because that's where they'll rip you apart. Gareth Southgate would be Hurzeler's kryptonite because he'd never press. Ever would they do anything, and the game would just, no one would move, and that would be it.
It won't happen with Hurzeler, so he wants to go on and press from the I wouldn't say from the first moment, but he's got he had players in his team. They were the most important players for him. First of all, it's the central defender in a back of three, and the two holding midfielders and the central striker, because the central striker, he needs to work hard. His work attitude is massive for his kind of press. They had a striker, he was like, let's say 180, so he wasn't really big, he wasn't a target player, but he worked really hard, like 90 minutes. He was running a lot. He wasn't really quick, but he could sprint for pretty much the whole game. And the central defender is a key man for his build-up play, because whenever they were on the ball, he's gonna go up as a holding midfielders. So they started their setup pretty much a 5-2-3, and as soon as they have a ball, they're gonna build up in a let's say 2-3 formation to center halves. So the central defender is going up to in a midfield role. The wingers coming in a little bit, so it's a 2-3 build up, and five players up top. So they're gonna fix the back line of the opponent and stress them. So that's pretty much first of his principles. So the central defender in the defensive shape, he's a central defender. With the ball, he's like a holding midfielder. And the two holding midfielders, they have to run a lot, and they get in the box whenever they can. One of the holding midfielders in St. Pauli, he scored, I would say, 15 goals and 10 assists as a holding midfielder. Like he could run a lot. If you look at the stats of Marcel Hartel and Jackson Irvine, I mean, this duo was like perfect for Hurzeler football. So
I don't think you gave yourself enough credit when you were like, I didn't do too much tactical analysis. You've just broken down all of the tactics perfectly there. So I think you maybe did. You need to give yourself more credit there, because that's an awesome overview of the play. One thing that stood out to me is the sort of defensive record. You've talked about this for St. Pauli last year. No team conceded fewer goals. But they weren't the highest scoring team. They weren't even the top 5 highest scoring teams. So I think the people that are coming in expecting a clone of De Zerbi are going to be a bit mistaken, right? There's similarities, but this is, as you say, a much more defensively solid team that can still score. Do you think, from what you know about the Brighton team right now, do you think we have the players to play in this system across the pitch? You've talked about central defender. I don't think we have too many worries there. Maybe some more depth, because you're going to need 3 starting centre backs, and really there's only 4 in the Brighton squad, 4 or 5. That central midfielder, that holding player that you talked about, this is where we're a little bit concerned, because you've got Billy Gilmore, then you've kind of got some question marks. Can Pascal Gross play in that role comfortably?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. He could be one of the 2 holding midfielders, 100%, because he's got the running ability to go forward and backwards. So he would be the ideal player, because he can score goals. And these 2 players who were playing for St. Pauli, they needed running ability to score goals, but coming back behind the ball. And I would say their defensive shape is much more solid than Brighton's were last season. The only issue I can see right now, I can't see a player who can play that central defender role, like, and playing as a holding midfielder as well.
Oh, interesting.
So he can switch both positions. I don't know exactly all the players of the Brighton squad right now, but a player who can play as a central defender and in the same way he can play as a holding midfielder. And St. Pauli had that player in Eric Smith. He's I think he's a Swedish player, and he was an ideal fit for Hützeler football. So he felt comfortable in playing as a central defender and as a holding midfielder. That was perfect for his kind of football. I don't know exactly all the qualities of all the Brighton defenders, but I mean, Lewis Dunk can't play as a central defender, or Van Hecke, or who's Webster. They are not holding midfielders.
Igor, but yeah, probably
Igor,
no. I mean, you want John Stones at Man City, right? That kind of thing.
Yeah, but you need like high quality in that kind of position to have someone who can switch between defender and midfielder. So I don't know if he's looking for someone or he's just adapting to the squad, because he's got qualities. Like I've read an article about Hürzeler, and he was saying like he's talking to the players about their qualities and where they're feeling comfortable. So he's adapting his ideas to the qualities of the players. So, which sounds to me like he's not like looking for his kind of football when he doesn't have the players for that. So he will talk to the players, looking for their strengths and where everybody feels comfortable. If he's got no player who's playing like two positions, he's not going to do it in that kind of way. So first and foremost, he's looking for success, and if you don't have a player for that kind of position, he's not going to push someone into a role where he doesn't feel well. So I think he's a good coach. He's got different tactics. He's got a good defensive record. They've got a solid back five, but they are moving with the back five. They're not standing still. As soon as the ball goes to the opponent's goal, they're going to shift the back five up and trying to stand on the halfway line and like, let's say, narrowing the pitch. So it's much easier to press from the halfway line to the opponent's goal. So they were pretty good in defensive setup, and it was really hard to create goals against them. I think they gave away the less expected goals last season, which is
they only conceded 36 goals the entire season.
Yeah,
which is not bad.
No, it's really good. I think it's just 1 goal per game. So they were much more solid than Brighton were in this season. So he's going to bring a much more solid kind of football to Brighton then.
Josh, I don't mean to cut you off. I just want to ask one thing, because we just talked about it. Pascal Gross, do you think he stays? Lots of rumors about him heading back to Germany. You mentioned you probably still have a line of communication there. Hurzeler and Gross are talking, but is that enough to keep him at Brighton?
I don't know when they were talking last time. I just heard that they were talking during that last season when so it wasn't on. I'm in touch with Pascal time by time. Just texted him to his birthday, but I don't know what's going to happen with him in the future. But if I have an opinion and I know who's after him, like Dortmund and Frankfurt, it sounds really difficult for me that he's going to stay in Brighton. I don't know what he's going to do, but he's going to have a good European Championship, even though he hasn't played so far. But he's in Brighton now for 7 years. He already said, I think 1 year back, that he would love to go back to Germany one day. I think he's going to play the European Championships, and afterwards he's going to make a decision. If I have to give an opinion, I think he's going to leave Brighton this summer, but it's just my opinion.
Yeah.
I would love to see him in Dortmund because I'm a Dortmund fan. But
we'll delete that from the podcast. The same with Dennis Undav, right? Dennis Undav's probably going to stay at Stuttgart if they can figure out the finances there. So we hire the German coach and we lose our 2 Germans.
Yeah, but that's a crazy story to me. I mean, Dennis Undav, where he came from a few years back, it didn't work out in Brighton, and it worked out perfectly for him in Stuttgart. Well. He scored a lot of goals. Now he's playing for Germany, a European Championship. I would say 6 years back, he was playing third league football in Germany. So it's a great story for him, and you just can feel happy for him because it didn't work out in Brighton. And I think you wouldn't be. I think the transfer is already on to Stuttgart, or is there
There's
still rumors?
question marks around all of it because there's like a buyback, but Brighton have the ability to basically purchase even if Stuttgart purchase, so they have to come to some weird agreement.
Okay. I don't know exactly. I
Some
thought he's
Tony
already
Bloom special.
Okay, I thought already he made his move to Stuttgart permanent, but yeah, I mean Pascal has done a great job for Brighton. I mean, wow, if I look back when we started 7 years back, we were playing just 1 year together. Probably nobody has seen that he's such a great figure already in the history of Brighton, playing 6 years in the Premier League, 7 years in the Premier League.
He's finally getting that respect, isn't he? He's finally getting that recognition.
Yeah, getting the call up for Germany and doing a great job there as well. Everybody's saying he might be not the quickest, but probably he's one of the most intelligent players on the football pitch. Oh, yeah, so quick in his head, and even though he's 33 years old, he's still in his best shape of football, and they still want to buy him for a lot of money here in Germany, even though he might be just ready for another 3-4 years, and they want to invest some money, even Dortmund, on a 33-year-old player. But it's, as I said before, age is just a number, and probably he's in his best shape right now, and he's getting better and better with every year. And even Brighton, he got better every year, and he got the respect that he deserved. And it was great to see him playing and doing so well for Brighton. It made me really happy.
Yeah, I mean, I think we all want him to stay, but if he goes, we love him anyway. Like, it's one of those things.
I would say nobody of the Brighton fans would blame him for that move. I mean, he's done such a great job. He was a key figure in every year of the Premier League, next to Lewis Dunk, probably the only guy who played all 7 Premier League leagues, next to Solly March. Of course, he was a little bit injured, or he was quite badly injured, but probably these are the only 3 players left from that first year of Premier League, when I'm not wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I am slightly concerned though. It repeats the Brighton tradition of essentially selling our best central midfielder every single season, which is a small issue, but we continue onwards.
Yeah, but you've done a great job in finding new players year by year, and getting to new levels. Even from my point of view, seeing Billy Gilmore doing well now. I mean, he was on loan. I don't know. Was he on loan in Norwich? 1 year?
Norwich, yeah.
And it didn't work out at all. And now he's doing a great job, and he's a quality player. I mean,
yeah, very, very good.
He's a good player. He's done really well last season for Brighton, and because if you find a coach who's getting the best out of some players, especially when you want to play football, as De Zerbi has done in the last 2 years, some players can shine, and Billy Gilmore was one of them, and Pascal was like the extra player for De Zerbi whenever he needed someone on right back, left back, holding midfielder, number 10. I mean, he played every role pretty much last year, and but probably he was worse first on the team sheet when De Zerbi made a formation, and he's never been injured, which is great for a manager, and he could play every 3 days, and loves to train as well. So you can't ask for more as a manager to have a player like Pascal on the team.
Yeah. I know, Josh, I know we've kept Uwe longer than we said. This is a random question, but you have watched England play, right? Did you just watch the game that they just played?
Yeah, I just watched 60 minutes of it, the last 60 minutes, and yeah, it was, let's say, the same shit as the first game.
Thank you. Yes.
Yes.
I mean, it was boring to watch. I mean, everybody's speaking about England every year. They've got individual quality.
Yeah.
You have to admit they've got pretty much one of the best teams like individual.
The favourites along with France for a reason. Yeah.
Yeah. But you've got one manager who's not the best, probably, to get the best out of the squad.
This is what I wanted to hear.
You've holding onto him since 6, 7 years, 8 years. I don't know exactly.
Too long.
Yeah, you have to get rid of him to get the best out of the players. I mean, probably he's the issue. He's the problem.
Thank you. I wanted a coach's opinion. Someone that knows football.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know a lot about Southgate. What type he is, what kind of football he wants to play, but it looks like the same every tournament, from my point of view. And you have seen different managers now on that kind of level, like Nagelsmann, and he's getting the best out of the German squad right now. And I think we're already one of the favorites now after 2 games, and we've seen some good football of our German team, and we were devastated after the last tournaments, and there was no joy before that tournament since last March, when we had the friendly games against France, and that was the first time we turned it around with the style of play. So it's going to be interesting. They've got the quality. They've got Jude Bellingham. They've got Harry Kane, but it's not going to be enough to play against teams like Spain or Germany or even France, because France is not playing always like entertainment football. But Deschamps is probably the coach who's getting always the best results out of the squad, and so it's going to be interesting to see how's England going to do in the tournament. But I can't see them winning the title this year.
I mean, we were outplayed by Denmark, so I mean,
I think Germany will probably win it. Like, especially the form Musiala, unbelievable. Like, so good.
Well, he's playing how Nagelsmann is playing Musiala, how Southgate should be playing Bellingham, and Southgate should be capable.
Yeah, I mean, we've got some young talents around Toni Kroos and
Wirtz.
You've got Sané on the bench, so we've got some quality in behind, and probably you can't, or you don't read a lot about Toni Kroos. There were so many question marks about him in Germany every year, and he's just passing the ball next to the next players. After he won 6 Champions League titles, nobody's questioning him anymore, and he's such a good puzzle for the German team right now. And with him, I think they've got the quality to win the European Championship as well. He's got such an aura about him, and he's like the glue of the team, and with Manuel Neuer in the goal. So I can't see anybody stopping us, apart from maybe Spain or France. But it's going to be a great tournament, and the fans here in Germany are just incredible. From every country, they're enjoying this kind of tournament. If you compare it to Qatar 2 years back, it's just unreal what's going to happen here in Germany right now, with every country coming up with 50,000 fans in their colors. It's just great to see. You're getting goosebumps watching all these kind of supporters. They're just enjoying life in Germany, on the roads, having parties, drinking beer. It's just incredible what's going to happen here right now.
It's weird what happens.
It's been awesome to watch.
Yeah.
When you host a football tournament in a country that actually likes football, it turns out
wow,
it's like significantly more effective. It's weird, isn't it?
It's incredible. It's incredible. I think for every country, just to watch, even the Romanians, the Hungarian fans, they're just traveling over. It's just a short trip for them. So it's great to see all these fans having a party together. And hopefully it's gonna go on like that in the next few weeks, and it's gonna be a great tournament, 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, I think we'll let you go. Thank you so much for coming on. I'm sure you'll be keeping an eye on how Hurzeler does as much as we will be. So hopefully we'll talk again maybe at the end of the season next year, and just see how everything's gone on and see how Paderborn are going. Maybe you'll be a Bundesliga set piece coach next year after a good season. Who knows?
Who knows? Who knows? We're trying our best. Our squad is, I think, a little bit better than last season. So, but the second Bundesliga is so strong with teams like Hamburg, Cologne. I mean, it's such a great league. I mean, I'm just looking forward to it. Great stadiums, great fans all over the country, and I cross my fingers for the English team. They're doing a little bit better, and you guys getting a little bit more joy with your team.
Any joy would be great, but thank you. Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
Okay.
Have a great night.
Thanks guys. See you soon.
Lovely to see you.
Bye.
Bye.
Josh, I'm glad we could talk a little bit Southgate in England.
Just to confirm your biases.
Yeah, but what a nice
and mine and the majority of the countries, I think.
It was always when you're just an idiot fan like we are, it's easy to basically just make assumptions and say, oh, so and so. But when people that actually have footballing minds that have played the game and know how it works also saying the same things, you kind of
brutal too. Yeah,
it's but Uwe's such a nice guy, isn't he? And I liked when he I said this at the time, but when he's like, oh, you know what, I'm kind of new at this whole thing, I didn't really dig into the tactics. And then it's like, so Hurzeler plays with 2 and they transition out the ball and then the right. Hold on, no, you know exactly how this works.
Yeah. I think he was rightfully wanting to give the credit to his boss, right? He's the one. But yeah, he knows his shit. I mean, you don't transition from player to coaching set pieces and already starting to make your way up without having some tactical nous, right? Like, so yeah, I mean, I'm sure it will be a career we'll follow pretty closely. And who knows? Maybe this time next year, like I said, like Paderborn win a playoff game and get themselves promoted. Maybe they're one of the top 2. Like they've been in and around that top 7 for years now. Like I remember when we spoke to Uwe before he retired, like they were right up there in the playoff hunt that year. So they're there and thereabouts almost every year. So it's not out of the question that he'll be coaching in the Bundesliga soon.
I mean, he's doing a job that he's clearly enjoying, learning, getting to spend time with his family in his home country, and also then just goes and batters some amateur footballers every now and then and goes and gets battered.
My favorite part of the pub.
So I just played up front, scored 12 goals, and then
in 2 games.
Just
phenomenal. Amazing.
That's why those are the kind of dreams you have. Where you're like, okay, I want to be like a footballer that then just goes and plays against, these poor idiots and just absolutely smashes them. That's like the stuff of dreams.
33 goals and 21 of them from centre half.
That's why it's always funny when people are like, because I don't think so-and-so's that good of a player. Even the worst player that you've seen play in the Premier League, they would just play in every single position and destroy every single time. And
every single team.
Yeah. Every crap. Any player you've seen like that player's crap. No, they would be absolutely the best player you've ever seen in person.
Yeah, comfortably. All right, mate. I know you've got to go back to work. So I'll let you head off. And well, I mean, we'll be back sooner or later. Fixtures have been released, of course, opening up against Everton and United.
We're away the first, yeah.
Our last trip to Goodison. So we'll see how that goes. Welcome to the Premier League, Fabian Hurzeler. Here's Deutsch Ball.
Yeah, that'll be at least we're playing them away, so they'll have to do something.
Try,
they'll have to try, and ideally they'd have sold Jared Branthwaite, which would be good. And there's rumors about they've got to sell, right? Because they're not in a horrendous financial position, but they do have to sell. So who knows what setup they'll be in, but yeah, that will be interesting. The immovable object of Dashball will be a fun challenge for him. But yeah, exciting. That's the big takeaway, I think, from this, right? This is the bit from this hire and what we talked about before. If you listen to the last podcast when we talked about the manager options before we found out Hurzeler was joining, by the way, he wasn't talked about it. It wasn't rumored, no betting odds, nothing. No. So next time this happens, just remember, no one has a damn clue about anything. But the big thing we talked about was like, please don't go back to Potter, but also please hire a coach that seems like they're doing something new and they play fun football. And Hurzeler, what you've signed a 31-year-old that just got his team promoted because he played like completely novel concept football in the German second division. You can't really get that much more compelling and exciting than that. So we've got that. It's going to be an interesting season, regardless of how it plays out, and it's another step into the future of this club.
Absolutely, well said. So we'll be back when we're back, frankly, and whenever that happens, we'll obviously let you guys know. But have a wonderful summer. If we don't come back until pre-season, depending on how busy we are over the next couple of months, and yeah, enjoy the pod, and let's just hope Pascal Gross stays.
Yeah. Thanks all. Have a good summer.